नमस्कार। आप सबका स्वागत है शंकर लॉज की मीटिंग में। हम मीटिंग को स्टार्ट करते हैं विद द यूनिवर्सल प्रेयर। ओ हिडन लाइट, वाइब्रेंट इन एवरी एटम, ओ हिडन लाइट, shining in every creature, O hidden love, embracing all in oneness, may each who feels himself as one with thee know he is also one with every other. So welcome to today's meeting in Shankar Lodge. आज के हमारे स्पीकर हैं नेशनल लेक्चरर ब्रदर बी.डी. तेंदुलकर जी। वो पूना में बेस्ड हैं, काफ़ी पुराने लॉन्ग स्टैंडिंग थियोसफिस्ट हैं। और जो आज का टॉपिक है नेचर इन कंट्रोल ऑफ द माइंड, उसका पार्ट 2 है, सेकंड पार्ट है। पहला पार्ट वो पहले ले चुके हैं। वो लेक्चर थियोसफी दिल्ली यूट्यूब चैनल पे अवेलेबल है। जिसने मिस कर लिया है वो पहले उसको भी जाके बाद में देख सकते हैं। So welcome to all. Today's lecture is on the nature and control of mind, part 2. The first part has already been taken by Brother B.D. Tendulkar ji, who is a national lecturer of the Indian section of Theosophical Society. So now I will request Brother to kindly start your lecture. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Gupta ji. And I at the outset thank the Shankar Lodge as well as the Delhi Theosophical Federation for this opportunity given to me to express my views. We have already discussed earlier this topic to some extent from the theosophical point of view. We will also see from the yogic or Vedantic point of view the nature and control of mind. We know that um, there is the one or the absolute from which everything appears or comes up. The absolute is, of course, ever unmanifest, and it manifests in the uh, worlds with we are acquainted with through mind. Generally, in yogic conception, there are four aspects of mind: chitta, mana, buddhi, and ahankara. We can say that they are progressively uh, subtler in their nature. Chitta, mana, buddhi, ahankara. One of the terms used in this connection is also chidakasha, chit and akasha. So here we find that it is a combination of the cosmic ideation and cosmic substance. Chit, the mind, is the cosmic ideation, and akasha, space, is the cosmic substance. And so Chidakasha is that mind substance, we can say. And as we know, the duality is the nature of the mind, subjective and objective. In this Chidakasha, images are formed. So it is a mental phenomenon which produces the image, and then mind, through instrument of mind, it reaches the consciousness, but at the same time, mind reflects that which is transmitted to consciousness externally. So, mind is responsible to produce that kind of motion, you can say, as we have seen. It is the energy. Energy appears in different forms. According to occult doctrine, there is only one energy and it appears in different forms. We see light, heat, electricity, magnetism. In so many forms, differentiated forms, we see the energy. So they manifest through Akash and its derivatives. It is initiated by Chitta in its different aspects. Motion is a function of the mind. It is not any unconscious mechanism. Mind acts through material agencies. They are objective derivatives of mind. All objects are in reality mental in nature, in the sense what we see. Mind creates for every individual its own world through the reflection of the image which it forms. And the movements are governed by the mind. So, all natural phenomena are result or guided by conscious forces, divine agencies. And all movements are according to laws inherent in universal mind. So, our mind, individual mind, is the microscopic reflection, we can say, of that universal mind. And universal laws present in the universal mind ensure automatic occurrence of all natural phenomena due to presence of the divine mind in manifested universe. So this divine mind creates the manifested universe and determines nature or manner of all movements and phenomena. We know the nature of motion conceived by science and also by occultism. So far as occultism is concerned, the cause of everything is motion in mental stuff, guided by divine mind. The field is mental, guided by laws present in divine mind. Hence, they are under the control of divine will. mechanisms of laws, governing mechanisms are essentially, basically mental in nature, and they are produced by mind on microscopic level. So, what happens in the universal mind at the macroscopic level is reflected in the mind on microscopic scale. The, there is no difference in the what is vast infinity and what is infinitesimally small. You will find the same laws applicable at all levels. So this applies to motions of heavenly bodies produced by divine will, acting through divine mind. Mind and consciousness are there in any observation, reasoning, conclusions, etc. We know that the in yogic philosophy, it is this motion of the mind that is the what Patanjali uses the word chitta vritti. Chitta vritti can be explained as the modifications of the mind body. We can say agitations, distortions in the mind. And because of that, we cannot form really the proper image of the objects. We can say mind obscures reality. And same applies to our understanding of ourselves also. Because of that, we don't know our real nature also. We say we are divine in nature, but we hardly realize that because we try to understand self through this mind, where the modifications are constantly going on. Motion is an everlasting phenomena, and therefore the central point in yoga is the chitta vritti nirodha, to stop or to arrest or to suppress the constant modification taking place. That is, we can say, the basic of yoga. And this is because our mind is, say, not as it should be naturally. We say mind is impure. Now, when we say mind is impure, what does it really mean? It is not capable of forming the image of whatever we want to know as it is. There is distortion in the image form. If that mind is pure, calm, transparent, it partakes original nature. We become aware of the reality, say reality of the universe or the self realization at our own level. Then we have to first see that our mind becomes pure, calm, transparent. Why it is not so? From the theosophic point, last time we discussed that it is formed of particles. There are different classes of particles. They vibrate at different rates, and therefore everybody's individual mind is not the same, though it is all a derivative of the universal mind. Individual mind differs, and that's why that which cannot act like the universal mind is an impure mind, we can say, because it cannot say show us the reality as it is. What are the prerequisites if we really want to make our mind pure, calm, and transparent? We have to perhaps understand that's why the mechanism of the mind. As we know, there is a tendency always for the mind to be outwardly turned, which means mind or our mental energy is projected to all that exists outside, external things. नहीं होगा शायद। हाँ, ऐसा। Think. So this outward turned or externally turned mind has to be an inwardly turned mind. In this outwardly turned mind, there are forces which are originating from the center and moving towards the periphery, outwardly turned. And we have to reverse this direction, that is, change from periphery to the center. This change is a change which is considered as an essential stage in Ashtanga Yoga. Taimini has described this as Paranga Chetana. Chetana, consciousness, turned outward. And this is caused by the Vikshepa. Vikshepa is that which attracts the attention of the mind towards it. So Vikshepa is responsible for the outward turning of the mind. And this Paranga Chetana can be turned into what Patanjali calls Pratyaka Chetana. Pratyaka Chetana means consciousness from the periphery to the center. So it is inward turn. And this should happen automatically without effort. If it has to be a natural process. because then there is no distortion. But usually, because of our age old habit of outwardly turn consciousness, we have to make effort to turn it within, inward, and bring it in contact with our higher principles. Mind remains in contact with lower principles, as we have earlier seen. That is kama manas, where it is uh, in association with our astral principle, is filled with kama, vasanas, desires. So desire mind is an impure mind. If the desires are not there, then there will be no attachment also. A mind with desire is also mind with attachment. And as we have seen earlier, that which is in bondage or is in attachment has no freedom, and therefore its action is not fully under your control. We are discussing the nature of mind in the context of the power of the mind. So, power of the mind is restricted by these attachments to other things. If it is free of attachments, then our mental energy can be fully utilized for this internal perception, which is free from vikshepa, that thing which attracts the mind. The external. Yeah. There are external vikshepas and also internal. When we turn our attention from external vikshepas to reverse direction, from periphery to center, then also we are not directly in touch with the higher principles, because there we are attached to internal vikshepas, our memories, our various kinds of expectations which are not connected with external things. But still, mind is not at rest. Mind is still busy in its own involvement. The habits which it has acquired in its externally turned orientation still continue even when it is internally oriented. So the next step after turning inside will be the dharana dhyana samadhi. So in dharana you try to do that. So there, out of so many vikshepas, you focus your attention on one. So first, you train yourself in concentration, and after concentration, then you go to the next step of dhyana. So these are different stages of the consciousness working through the mind, um, frees from the obstacles created within the mind for that free flow of consciousness. So these impurities are the obstacles, and these obstacles cause disharmony in the vehicles. So there is disharmony. Um, so they come in the way of chitta vritti nirodha. So even if you eliminate all external vikshepas, still um internal vikshepas continue to distract that concentrated attention of the mind on one point. That's why dharana is necessary, so that dispersal of mental energy at various points can be avoided and it is focused on one point. But still, that attachment with that one point remains, and it should be free from that one point also, and that's why the further process continues, dhyana, and ultimately samadhi. So only in samadhi stage, when it is free from even those internal vikshepa, it is in a position to see the reality as it is. Because that time there are no bonds of attachment. So we have to eliminate the conditions which cause the distraction, and that can be done by sadhana, yoga sadhana, and Patanjali has given number of indications which develop our understanding as to what causes the distraction. He has mentioned in Sutra number 30 of Samadhipada various causes of distraction like व्याधिस्त्यान् संशय प्रमादालस्य विरति भ्रांति दर्शनालब्ध भूमिकत्वान् अवस्थितत्वानि चित्त विक्षेपास्तेन्तरायाः. So what are the various kind of vyadhis he has mentioned, or various kind of vikshepas which he has mentioned? One of them is vyadhi. Vyadhi means disease. So sthyan means dullness or languor. Many times we lack the energy, that kind of state, dullness. These are various, you can say, the weaknesses from which we suffered and which are responsible for causing distraction of the mind. Just as a person who is suffering from something cannot really concentrate because his attention is distracted to that pain caused by the disease. Or if you are lacking energy, if you are feeling feeble, weak, then also your attention goes to your body. Or there are also mental state. Let's say we have Vyadhisthyan Saushaya, Saushaya, doubt. If we have doubt, then the doubt also comes in the way. Pramada. So, pramada is uh, carelessness. Even laziness. Laziness is again he differentiates from languor. Laziness, languor is more, say, psychological, which affects the body. But laziness is mental, in the sense you may have a sound body, and in spite of sound body, people are lazy. They don't feel like working. So, mentally lazy, you can say there. So, these are the kind of obstacles which we suffer from. Even the others are um, worldly mindedness. We have spiritual aspirations, but we are worldly minded. We are more interested in worldly things. So, though our object may be lofty, still um, in our living we are more worldly. So, there is a conflict in what really we want to achieve and our actions and behavior, which is not consistent with our object. So, those kind of people. Then there are people who suffer from, say, um, feeling of non-achievement of a state. Suppose you are progressing, but you get stuck up at certain step or stage, then you feel disheartened. Um, you expect to move up, but you are not making any progress. So there you lose heart, and that reflects in your efforts. Or there are also cases of uh, we are careless. If we are careless, then what happens? That also affects your concentration, your efforts. We may make error, correct. So, mind relax many times. It, when there is lack of concentration, we get relaxed when really we are required to be focused. If we are relaxed, then we are not focused. And there, our efforts are not up to the mark, where results will come forth. So these are various kinds of obstacles, you can say, that feeling of non-achievement. Now, when you are achievement oriented, this happens more. Your object is one thing, but your say eagerness to achieve that objective uh, indicates the state of your mind. When you are predetermined to achieve an object, that is one stage. But when you are eager to achieve that objective and becoming impatient, that is another thing. So, first is desirable, second is not desirable, because that second will make you unstable in your efforts to achieve the progress. So, that brings in instability in you, because it is very necessary that you have to remain stable throughout. Yeah, so, um, otherwise, what happens? There is frustration and dissipation of energy many times, and you feel that lack of energy, and that affects your effectiveness and output. So we must be aware of these um, deficiencies of our in the working of our mind or in the state of our mind. And if we are conscious of these deficiencies, then naturally we will take appropriate step to correct ourselves. Many times we are not really aware of the reasons behind this. Suppose um, we are in the habit, as I said, um, remaining careless about what I have to do, even about our daily routine. From the time I get up to the time I go to bed, there are many things which I have to perform. We are many times attentive or careful about important things to be done, but we are not mindful about relatively uh, things are less important, or we consider them as routine, which need no attention. Uh, we are in the habit of performing them in a mechanical manner. But what happens when we are not careful about performance of small duties? We carry the burden of non-performing them in our mind, and that affects our performance in attending to important things. I am doing, suppose, a study of this book, but suddenly I remember that I have not yet taken my bath. So my attention is distracted. My concentrated attention on anything important that I might be attending to.
Time management.
Even that involves time management, but um, we should not consider anything as unimportant. Even routine things have to be attended, and attended with that um, spirit of time management. So, at a proper place, proper time, even the routine things have to be performed. Unless emergencies demand you to um, um, live them up and attend to emergencies.
First.
But otherwise, this habit has to be developed of attending even to normal duties, because you cannot avoid them. You have to attend to them at some hour of the day. Then you must do it in the proper orderly sequence, so that once that is cleared up, it will not appear in your mind again. Otherwise, your mind's energy is directed towards it, even if you don't perform that work or duty. So, anyway, you um, are unable to preserve your energy and utilize it for the work in hand at that time. Therefore, this kind of cultivation of habit is very much essential. Um, so, this kind of self examination um, every day is also necessary. That's why there is importance that in the beginning of the day you must plan for what you are going to do, and at the end of the day you must take a review of whether you have fully executed the plan of the day. If this becomes a daily habit, then later on you are not required to plan for routine things. They are performed um, by um, a habit um, which carries out things without paying special attention to them, so that you can conserve your energy, which otherwise you spend when they are not carried out in a systematic manner.
It's plan the work and work the plan.
Uh,
Plan the work and work the plan.
yeah,
That is what it
plan
is.
the work and work the plan. Exactly. Uh, Now we have to also understand how consciousness works through the mind. As we see, the mind um, many times um, is burdened with worries, pressures, anxieties. Why this arise? Say, sense of insecurity, fear, uncertainty. Why we suffer from this kind of deficiencies which make mind unstable and weak? Why we cannot maintain that harmony and stability? How mind gets affected by external influences and internal disharmonies. Can we really control the mind against all kinds of impacts which mind suffers from in case of most of the people? Can we remain foolproof against all kinds of impacts? It only shows the weakness of the mind when such impacts disturb our balance and stability. Now, if we understand the mechanism with which the mind works, it is all based on responding to the vibrations causing impact on the mind. So, there is a natural tendency to vibrate sympathetically to the vibrations, to any kind of vibrations. If our mind has the capacity to vibrate to certain range of vibrations, it will vibrate, and that will cause uh, some kind of movement. Now, if we want to remain unaffected by specific types of vibrations, we have to build our apparatus, mental apparatus, in such a way that it will be selective in responding to the impacts it receives from the outside. There are various kind of stimuli which you cannot control, but response to stimuli can be controlled. So that requires a disciplined training, and that can come by conscious awareness of how our mind responds to the stimuli, where we find that the response of the mind is not in the interest of the mind, it is disturbing the mind, disturbing the harmony of the mind. disturbing the transparency of the mind, if we are watchful, then that watchfulness, attentive watchfulness, is enough to stop all kinds of undesirable modifications taking place in the mind. Generally, we talk of control, but if we study um, Krishnamurti's teachings or even Jain Buddhist teachings, we find that this kind of attentive observation plays a very major role in uh, bringing about a change which will keep the mind in its ideal condition or natural condition. Generally, it is not in natural condition. We are used to unnecessarily respond to all kind of stimuli. So first we have to train our mind to respond only to selective stimuli. But this is again, as Krishnamurti says, by choiceless awareness. Now, how these things go together? On one hand, say we have to be selective, but at the same time, we say it should be choiceless. Because in choiceless, there is no interference of our will. And will generally acts in the self interest. And self interest is uh, creates a center from which consciousness operates. And therefore, it is a conditioned state. It is not the free movement of the consciousness, which will always give you a perception from a particular angle only, which is only um, a knowledge which leads to partial understanding. Therefore, freeing the consciousness from that center of self, as long as that does not happen, there is always difficulty in understanding the reality or the true nature of a thing. Therefore, it is said that our will has to be the will of the Ishvara, Ishvara Ichha. So, when we are um, self centered, because that comes um, along with self consciousness, the awareness of I as separate from the rest gives that kind of um, centered consciousness to us. So there is no free movement of consciousness. That is also a kind of attachment and limitation of freedom and power, which is inherent in that. But our observation with understanding of this mechanism liberates the consciousness from its attachment to that center. we become selfless in a sense. We don't look at things from the um, self interest. We become broader in our outlook. And when we see things from the point of view of all, or from point of view of that which is present in all, then consciousness is liberated and you become open to the light coming from the level higher than the mind. That is, we have seen Atma, Buddhi, Manas. So, this is the real nature of man. But as long as consciousness is confined at the lower levels, our perception is always um, an illusory perception, which is not reflecting the reality. It is not a transparent vision which can see things as they are. So, this can be eliminated if there is light coming from Buddhic level and enlightening the um, understanding, partial understanding, which our mind can provide us, our intellect can provide us. So, we have to understand through self observation the obstacle coming in the way of receiving light from above. If we understand the limitations of our mind, then those limitations slowly are removed from our path. Enlightenment is possible only when those obstacles to the light coming from the buddhi are eliminated. And those obstacles are of our own creation. If they are of our own creation, then it is possible for us to remove those obstacles also. So, observations should enable us to understand that I have created these obstacles in the past, and it is I alone who can remove those obstacles. Our dependence on others, whether it is Guru or religious scriptures or any other external aid, is not really effective in removing these obstacles because they are of our own creation. My doubts, my um, um, uh, um, going by my beliefs, my superstitions, um, influence of my traditions, all these things are showing that I am conditioned by various factors. And conditioning and freedom both cannot coexist. As long as I have not come out of those conditioning, I am not free. And if I am not free, I am um, needing help, I look out for external help when I don't really see or I fail to see that all my problems are problems for which I am responsible, but at the same time, I also understand that I have the capacities or potentialities to overcome those problems. That is understanding my true nature, which is divine and which has tremendous potentialities to develop. If I develop that kind of insight into my own potentialities, and if I am convinced that I can work upon awakening those hidden potentialities, then I can really start working on that. And if I start working on that, I get strength to work on that because it is again a source of power, hidden power within. So, understanding those potentials and having keen, deep interest in exploring those potentialities is a source in itself. And when we understand this source within us, we stop depending on external source. So to coming to that stage of realizing our own nature, self-realization, is a stage where mind becomes an instrument which is capable of achieving extraordinary results. You can even call them wonders. That's why a yogi who has developed those potentials can um, do wonders because all those powers which were untapped in the past are now tapped, and therefore the same ordinary person, after going through the yoga sadhana and gradually unfolding his potentials, come to his real nature, divine nature. So he becomes a symbol of that divine power. And then the problems which he faced in his earlier phase turn into kind of challenges and opportunities for him. His whole nature looks at those things not as adversities, but perhaps appealing him to come forward, face them boldly, courageously, and even if he fails, he doesn't get despaired or disappointed because he is only interested in moving ahead. That movement in the right direction itself is an inspiring task for him. And therefore, there is no despair, disappointment, disheartening of any kind. That's why it has been said that this is Krishnamurti who had said that we must feel our heart um, with not the things of the mind. Presently, what has happened is our hearts are filled with matters of the mind. That which mind has to really become aware of is that it has to become a kind of heart also. not remain only a mind which is driven by intellect, but an heart which is driven by noble emotions. Heart and mind coming together, working together, will provide the solution in the present scenario. I think here I will just stop. I will just take a break for 1 or 2 minutes. We'll come back.
Thank you, brother. Thank you very much.
Yeah, he's just rejoin in 2 minutes.
Yeah, sure, sure. We are waiting. We're waiting. जब तक ब्रदर आते हैं, किसी को कोई सवाल पूछना है तो वो पूछ ले, या किसी को, हमारे किसी बंधु को कोई और ऐड करना है तो कर सकते हैं वो।
Yes, sir. We will.
Yeah, you're talking about the heart and the mind aligned करने का।
Uh, there is a quotation from Krishnamurti. There is beauty and meaning in life only when the heart is cleansed of the things of the mind. So, in the process, there is a mismatch between the working of the heart and mind, which we must avoid. We are um, using our heart for storing things of the mind. So, mind must be cleansed of many of the undesirable things, but the place of storage should not be heart. That is what is happening. That heart also doesn't function the way it should. Anybody wants to say something on the matters we discussed?
Brother, your lecture was excellent and very clear. I had asked the people present here,
Yes.
none has any question or any comment. So I thank you for taking the lecture today,
Thank you,
and
sir.
hopefully, yes, we'll again invite you. Now we'll close the meeting with the universal prayer.
Yeah.
O Lord in life, vibrant in every atom, O hidden light shining in every creature, O hidden love embracing all in oneness, may each who feels himself as one with thee know he is also one with every other. So thank you to all,
Thank you, sir.
and thank you very much, brother. Thank you. And now we'll close the meeting. Thank you.